Yes. What's happening, everybody? It's Wednesday night, 10 o'clock Central Time. I'm doing Ask Weezy. This is the show where you can get in that chat. You can ask me any questions that you have about any of the fighters, any of the fights, any of the betting lines, any of the prize picks plays that you might have for this week. This is an interesting card, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of huge juiced favorites. So in that case, sometimes it makes some of the betting lines really tough to chase. When you're laying, minus 105 on Raul Rosas by first round sub, that times are getting tough. That inflation isn't just happening at the grocery store and at the restaurant. It's happening in these betting lines as well. And we are paying up for these favorites. So it's always interesting to look and see if there are any other avenues available in order to find some value in some of these props, in some of these prize picks lines. And that's what you got your Uncle Weezy for, because your Uncle Weezy has always got all the stats, all the benchmarks, anything that you could possibly want to know about any of these fighters statistically and about any division, about any benchmark. I got it. And you know that I'm willing to help you out. I'm your Uncle Weezy. I'm family. All right. Family helps each other out. So hit me with some questions in that chat. Let's figure out this card. So let me share my screen with you guys here. I got prize picks up here. I've got the advanced stats for all the fights here. I've got the prop template for all the fights. So if you have any over-under questions, you want to see where some of these benchmarks are, you want to see where the overpriced, underpriced lines are, just holler at me. And I've got basically all the lines up here as well. So the first question, though, that we got here is from my guy TH. He's saying, "What up, Weezy? What are your favorite prize picks this week?" So one of the first ones, the one that I gave out on Pub Sports Radio today when I did the DFS show alongside my guy DFS by the Numbers, Gordo, and Monk, we were looking at a few different plays here. The one that I gave out was Valentina Shevchenko under 90.5 significant strikes. So let me get my stats up here for you, and I'm going to get my analytics. So here's the women's 125-pound weight class here. And I've got all the fights you can see here. It starts off, very first fight in women's flyweight history in the UFC was Joanne Calderwood versus Valerie Letourneau back in 2016. And then we didn't see another flyweight fight for 16 months. But I've got the stats from every single women's flyweight fight, whether it's 3 or 5 rounds. So now, if we're looking at 90.5 significant strikes for Valentina Shevchenko, I'm going to scroll down here to significant strikes in 5-round fights. This number here I can change to 90.5, or I could change it to any number, 120.5, let's say. And then we're going to know how many went over and under that number, whether they were winners, losers, and then the total. So at 90.5 significant strikes, I find this kind of interesting, right? If I were to zoom in on this for you guys so you can see what's up here, this is 90.5 significant strikes. So we have had 5 of 14 fighters that won a 5-round fight went over that number. Only 2 of 14 went over that number as in a losing effort. So a total of 7 out of 28 fighters, or only 25% of women who were involved in 5-round fights in the women's flyweight division, recorded 91 or more significant strikes. So right there, she's up against the averages here, and she's really only got 25% chance to cover that number. And then if we were to go and look at Valentina Shevchenko's stats in the UFC, which of course I have, right? This is Valentina's. This is all available on my Patreon, by the way. The advanced stats here. You can see that Valentina has been scheduled for this many 5-round fights. She had a 3-round fight against Priscilla Cachoeira. She had a 3-round fight against Amanda Nunes, and she had a 3-round fight against Sarah Kaufman. So we can go to the significant strikes here and see how many times she landed more than 90.5 significant strikes, 91 or more. We got an 87, 77. We got a 98. So she landed more than 90.5 versus human punching bag Lauren Murphy. 32, 62, 40, 42, 8, 89, 72, 13, and 87. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 5-round fights in the UFC for Valentina Shevchenko. She's gotten more than 90.5 significant strikes only once. So when you put up the fighter performance and the benchmarks for the division in 5-round fights, it's really hard to see her getting more than that many. But we do have to remember, she just did fight the same opponent and in only 4 rounds. So just 26 seconds short of the end of the 4th round, she had landed 87 significant strikes against Alexa Grasso. So if that fight goes to the 5th round, she does go over 90.5 significant strikes. But she's never went over that number before. And if you remember that fight, I was a little bit kind of like, I was surprised by that number because, I mean, Valentina's notoriously low volume, and I don't remember landing 80 significant strikes at distance. There were 8 to the body, 11 to the legs, but 68 to the head. I think I might have been watching a different fight. I don't know who was tallying stats for this one, but 90.5 significant strikes and under is a good one for me this week. And let's look at these takedown numbers. All right. Another interesting one, you guys. Lupi Godinez at 2.5 takedowns. Lupi Godinez in her last 3 fights. So let's bring up the advanced stats for Lupi Godinez here. Godinez, advanced stats. Okay. So Lupi Godinez in her last 3 fights, let's scroll out just a little bit. These are the takedowns and the takedowns attempted. In her last 3 fights, Lupi Godinez is 2 of 8 on her takedown attempts. In the previous 5 fights, she's 23 of 50. So in her first 5 fights, she attempted 50 takedowns, 10 takedown attempts per fight. The next 3 fights, she's attempting 8, which is 2.67 per fight, and she's only gotten 2. So I think something's changed here. There's whispers that Lupita has a neck injury that's preventing her from wrestling, but we're seeing a big divergence in the stats of her first 5 fights in the UFC and then the second 3. So Lupi Godinez has only went, it's very important to note this, right? I mean, so 1, 2, 3, 4 times she's been under 2.5 takedowns, and there's only 8 fights here. So it's a 50-50 number of her being over or under the takedown amount here. And then we can also look at the stats and Prize Picks Analytics. Women's 115 pounds. We go up to takedowns here in 3-round fights. We got 2.5 already in there. Only 14% of women's strawweight fighters go over that number. 21% of winners, 6% of losers. So a total of 69 out of 496 women's strawweight fighters have went over 2.5 takedowns. So I also like the under 2.5 takedowns here. Let me get the internet back up. There we go. So Lupi Godinez, less than 2.5 takedowns. Now, this is also, we got to talk about the stylistic matchup because everybody knows Elise Reed has done her worst work when she's on her back, right? She's getting taken down. She's getting held down. She's getting dominated once fights go to the ground. If Lupi does wrestle, there's a very good chance that she doesn't even need 3 takedowns in order to finish this fight with ground and pound or a submission. But I think what's going to happen here is that Loopy's going to box. I don't think she can wrestle anymore. I don't think I don't think that she's healthy enough to wrestle, because there's no explanation for her not wrestling over the last 3 fights. And even if she does, it might only take 1 takedown in order to finish the fight. Lupi Godinez has less than 2.5 takedowns. Valentina Shevchenko, less than 90.5 significant strikes. That'll be a good 2-leg play for this week. That's what I'm going to give you guys for now. If you have any specific prize picks questions, like Weezy, help me out with the 47.5 significant strikes on Zellhuber. Shout that out, and I'll go through them one by one for you guys. But that's a good 2-leg prize picks play. Now we got 23 of you live in here, so feel free to shout me out with any questions that you have right now. Let's get this show going. But we're starting off with your free prize picks play of the week. Lupi Godinez, under 2.5 takedowns. Valentina Shevchenko, under 90.5 significant strikes. And I think another good one, you guys, Fight Time. I like Raul Rosas, under 4.75 minutes. And I like Kevin Holland, over 10 minutes. So I think you could add those 2 in there, or you can mix and match. But let's just put these in there too, just so you guys can choose how many you want. Less than 4.75 minutes for Rosas, more than 10 minutes for Kevin Holland. 2 very durable guys in Kevin Holland and Jack Della Maddalena. Going to be very difficult for either one of these guys to finish the other one. So, yeah, $20 to win 100, 100 to win 500, whatever it is that you're doing, man. That's what I'm looking at this week. There are some good plays, and shout me out if you got any specific questions. We got Kevin in the room saying, "Oi, ¿qué pasa, tío Weezy? Noche UFC está aquí." He's just saying, "What's up, Uncle Weezy?" It's UFC Noche Fight Week. It's here. We're ready to go. I'm fired up for it. UFC Noche. I'm going to put juice to the tits in parentheses. That's what these lines are, juice to the tits, you guys. So we're going to have to be creative this week to find ways to stack cash tickets like flapjacks. Let me know if you got any questions, Kevin. We got Jenna Marie in the room. What's up, Jenna? Good to see you in here. And she says, "Oi, Weezy." What's up, Jenna? Good to see you. Real Deal Prime, telling us what he always tells us, that wrestling rules. And it does. Wrestlers get to choose where the fight takes place, and because of that, they get to choose the area of their opponent's game that's the weakest in order to operate with their skill set. So I think wrestling is a great base for MMA. What is up, Jenna? We've got Daz File saying, "So much juice, more than from a whole bag of oranges." You got that right. And saying, "What's up to Jenna Marie?" We got Charles Smith saying, "Are you going to drink Palomas for this UFC?" I don't think so. I don't have any tequila in the house, and I don't have any plans to bring any tequila into the house. I'm going to be leaving for Greece, you guys, for almost 2 weeks, Monday of next week. So look for an early episode of Just the Tip. Or I'm actually leaving on Tuesday, so I'm going to try to do Just the Tip on Monday next week, and then cut off the content while I go and get a vacation after this 17-week stretch of UFC, which has been an absolute nutcracker. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to drink Palomas for this one, my man, but maybe if I get some tequila in the house. We got Kyle Kelly in the room saying, "What up, Unc? Love your shit. Keep it up, brother. What's your favorite dinner and drink to have for when that main card starts, and who you got between Strickland and Drickus?" Favorite dinner is pizza and beer. That's the favorite dinner and drink for any UFC fight card. Love pizza, love beer. And then who do I got between Strickland and Drickus? I got Strickland. Drickus, I think, really kind of needs to be the one pressuring. And Sean's so good at putting people on their back foot that I think the walking forward of Sean Strickland is going to be absolutely massive. And I don't think Dricus is going to be able to wrestle him, and we will see if that's the next matchup. Even that's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, I think Dricus will be ready by the end of the year, right? I think he's like ready to go around December or something like that. So I wonder who they're going to match him up against next. The UFC matchmakers, I don't think that they were planning. I don't think they were planning on Sean Strickland being champion. So it's going to be interesting to see how big of a wrench this threw in the works and what the matchmakers are going to do now that Strickland's champion, because there's a lot of possible matchups that could be made from here on out. So it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. Rouse is in the room saying, "Oi, Unc, do you like the over 47.5 significant strikes for Zellhuber? I think he can defend the takedowns and piece up his opponent at range. Christian's got a chin, so there shouldn't be an early stoppage." Christian has a chin? He's fighting Yagos, isn't he? Christos. Oh, does Christos have a chin? Man, he's been finishing 7 of 10 losses. I didn't or maybe it's been mostly by submission, though. Yagos has been knocked out only once in the UFC, and only twice in his career. He's been subbed 5 times. And Zellhuber is 2-0 to the sub, but he's 7-0 to the knockout. So if you think Yagos is durable, that could be interesting. So we're looking at 47.5 significant strikes, and this is a lightweight fight. So let's go to the analytics. Go to the lightweight tab. We're going to go significant strikes for 3-round fights, 47.5. So let's zoom in. So 47.5, 39% of winners get more than that number, 22% of losers. So you're looking at about a 30% chance overall of a random lightweight scoring more than 47.5 significant strikes. Let's look at the advanced stats. Let's look at Zellhuber's numbers. Zellhuber was 78 and 52 significant strikes landed, so he's been over that number in both of his UFC fights. And Christos Yagos has absorbed more than that many, over 47.5, only once. Christos Yagos has absorbed more than 47 significant strikes only once in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 fights. So 2 out of 2 for Zellhuber, where he's going over, but only 1 out of 12 for Yagos. So that's 3 out of 14, and you're up against a only 30% cover rate for that generally in 3-round fights for lightweights. So, man, I don't like it. That's too big of a hill to climb, in my opinion. Yagos has only even landed over that amount once. So, and he's been to decision 5 times. So here's what I think. I think Yagos is going to wrestle. I don't think he wants to stand at range with a guy that's so much taller and so much longer than him. So if he wrestles, get ready to see a low significant strike output out of both fighters, because one of the things that you really have to understand when you're playing this game is how important, when you're doing significant strike props, your idea of where this fight takes place. Does it take place in the clinch and on the mat, or does it take place at distance striking range? Because look at this. This is very important, you guys. The Prize Picks analytics. So we go up here to the benchmarks, right? We could see that the average fighter lands 3.63 significant strikes per minute, but at distance, the average fighter lands 4.5. And in the clinch and in the ground, when the fight goes there, they're landing an average of 2.17. 2.17 is less than half of 4.58. So if you're extrapolating that there's going to be a lot of grappling in a fight, then you're going to start to kind of look more at that 2.17 significant strikes landed in those positions rather than a 4.58 number for at distance. So I think it's very important to kind of figure out, is this going to be a distance striking match? Or is one of the fighters, or even both of the fighters, going to be pushing the grappling exchanges? And if your thoughts is that it's going to the grappling exchanges, then you're going to start to look for lower numbers here. So I think for Giagos to have success, he's going to need to grapple, because even though he's got some pretty good power at range, if we look at the measurables here for this fight, Zellhuber's 3 inches taller and has a 6-inch reach advantage, and he switches stances on the feet. So I think Giagos is going to wrestle. I kind of like the under 47.5 significant strikes for this one. My guy Daniel Covert, just so everybody knows, he's here. He's ready to go. We got Zen Monkey in the room. What is happening, Zen Monkey? Thank you for always commenting on my videos. Always see you down there in the comments, and I appreciate you. My guy Daniel Covert says coffee or tea. It's coffee. My parents owned a diner. Everybody that came into that diner came in for coffee. So we were purveyors of coffee to the entire city of Park Ridge, Illinois. And because of that, I kind of had it in me from a young age that, like, hey, people drink coffee where we're from. So yes, coffee, always coffee. Jenna Marie saying, what's up to Daz? We got Daniel Covert saying, Weezy, if you had $1 million, what would you do with your life? Shit, man, if I had $1 million, I'd probably keep doing exactly what I'm doing, because I love what I'm doing. I love creating content. I love betting on the UFC, and I can make more money doing it with a gigantic unit size than I could now. And I think it would be fun to just kind of like talk about fights, get all the bills paid. I don't need much, because I am not one of these guys that's like a label whore. I like having a low amount of expenses and a low amount of work to do outside of my job. So yeah, if I had $1 million, I'd probably keep doing exactly what I'm doing, man, because I love doing it. She stopped Zombie Girl, if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, she definitely stopped Zombie Girl. That was an ass whooping, and she like just that was I think that was the last time that we ever saw Mario Yamasaki ref a fight, because she almost got Priscilla Cachoeira killed in there by Valentina Shevchenko. That was Shevchenko's 125-pound debut, was against Priscilla Cachoeira, because she was supposed to fight somebody else. But Zombie Girl stepped in and took it on short notice, and that was not a good idea. She took a life-changing beating in that fight. We got Andy in the room saying, Weezy, what's up, Andy? Good to see you hanging out in here. Daniel Covert wants to know, how many robes do I own? I have my grandfather's smoking jacket that I wear every Tuesday on Just the Tip. I also have a crushed velvet black smoking jacket with fat lapels that is 3/4 length. Dope as fuck. It's not really a robe, but it is a smoking jacket. And I think I've got like an all-purpose type of robe. I think you could say, if you're including smoking jackets, 3. If you're not including smoking jackets, 1. We got Jenna in the room saying, Loopy, yes, you're liking Loopy this week. I don't know. I'm worried about her, but the line is wide, but I think the under 2.5 takedowns is actually a really cheeky prize picks play for this week. And Loopy is a bit loopy, yes, for sure. Especially after these last few performances where you don't really know if she can even wrestle. So, man, that was it's just weird. It's been weird seeing somebody that attempts 50 takedowns in 5 fights all of a sudden get 2 takedowns over her next 3 fights in less than 1 minute of control time, when she was racking up over 50% control time in those first 5 fights. Massive divergence there in the game plan that she's fighting with. And because of that, we have to start asking some questions. Hey, is this a fight IQ thing, or is this an injury thing that's preventing her from wrestling? Remdog saying, betting loopy takedowns really seems like steering into the variance. Yeah, well, there is a lot of variance there, because you see like that she's she's obviously going way over that number in her first 5 fights, but then she's comfortably under it in the next 3. So yeah, she could go out there and get 7 takedowns. I mean, like, that's the game that we're playing, you know, and there's nothing that's a lock. But when you have access to all the stats and benchmarks that we have access to, it really gives us an idea of what we're up against when we're betting these overs. And I think that the psychology of the bettor is always to kind of like bet that over yards, over significant strikes, over fantasy points, you know. But I think the psychology drives you into making, when you're making these over bets, you know, like it's like the bookies know how many people are betting overs compared to how many people are betting unders. And if you just got a bigger pile of people betting overs with these props, these new prop markets, of course you're going to raise the price. You know, so you know, I think that when this prop template is done, you're going to see where the pricing is and what you're up against when you're betting these overs, and it's probably going to take people who do subscribe to it and show them that when you're long term on these prize picks and underdogs plays, man, you better be betting under, because where they're pricing these things, from what I'm seeing in my stats, it's really strange. And I feel like betting unders on prize picks could be a very, very plus EV play going forward. Daniel Covert, you cannot call in. Yeah, we don't have a landline here, you know, and then I'm not giving out my phone number on YouTube for sure. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions, man. Real Deal Prime is in the room. What is happening, dude? Wrestling rules. We got Kevin saying Loopy at Chuck is bad, but Loopy at Lobo Gym rubbing elbows with the Grasso, the champ, also being coached by Diego Lopez. Yeah, I think that's a good thing. It's going to be interesting, you know, like I'm picking Loopy by decision this week, but that Loopy by decision, I'm making a giant assumption. I'm making an assumption that she's not going to wrestle, because if she does wrestle, I think that she has much more of a chance to finish this fight. But yeah, it's just hard to know whether Loopy can wrestle at all anymore. Daz File saying, I don't even know what a prize pick is, and I don't need to since it's USA only. That's rough, dude. Hopefully, you know, you guys get that stuff soon, because some of these prop markets, it's getting crazy how juiced these money lines are. That you would never see mixed martial arts money lines more than 350, 400 just 2-3 years ago. You know, I remember when Khamzat Chimaev made his debut. You know, I remember saying that minus 180 against John Phillips was like, I was like, I would bet it, but it's just a little bit juiced, you know. Now, if Khamzat Chimaev was making his debut on this card against John Phillips, he would be minus 25,000. You know, it's weird how juiced these lines are getting. So that's why I'm trying to build this prop template that'll put all the analytics, statistics, and fighter statistics all in the same place, so that you can determine, you know, whether you're paying up or not, you know. And it's going to be in these lesser used markets where, you know, maybe the purveyors of these markets haven't caught up, you know, and it'll take them time to catch up. So maybe we can find some value there before they realize how to better price these props. We got Real Fight Picks is in the room. What's up, dude? Saying happy to be here, Unc. Let me know if you have any questions, brother. Daz File saying, wonder when we get SGP shows appearing on YouTube. Dude, they probably will be soon, man. Somebody, you know, like, look, we gotta get all the help that we can get, because, you know, when you're paying minus 800 for Josephine Knudsen, who's making her debut in the UFC, you know, it's clear that we got to start steering to other markets and other props in order to find value anymore, because the shit is getting crazy out there, man. Yes, I did watch Dana White's Contender Series. I watched it after Just the Tip on Tuesday. 5 phenomenal fights. Was glad to see everybody get contracts there. Peruvian MMA is fucking on fire lately. I'm so jacked about all these Peruvian dudes that are winning on DWCS and then getting into the UFC and then looking good there as well, man. It's really cool to see Peru, really kind of showing out. And those fights were phenomenal. Casey Tanner versus Matsumoto was awesome. The Pilastri fight against the Paraguayan girl was phenomenal. All action fight. That AJ Cunningham versus Win fight was amazing. The heavyweights were amazing. The Peruvian kid put on a fucking clinic out there. Yeah, what great fights on DWCS. And ring a ding ding, you guys. My guy Daz Files, one of the first people to watch any of my videos, with the $10 donation saying some drinking monies for the holes. Let's go, man. Let's have some fun this weekend. Let's cash some tickets, have some drinks, enjoy these fights. And we always enjoy them so much more when we stack cash tickets like flapjacks here. We got Zach Singleton in the room saying, "Oi, Unc, been a while since I caught a live. Dude, it's good to have you here, Zach. Let me know if you got any questions about any of the fighters or the fights on this card." DGen for Life saying, "What's the definition of a significant strike on the ground specifically?" Yeah, so I don't actually have the definition in front of me, but it's just basically that's up to the discretion of the statistician that's there at the event. And I think that the statistician is there live, so I think that they might have different statisticians at different events, so you could see it interpreted differently at different events. But on the ground, it's basically something that they say lands and causes significant damage. So there's a lot of slap strikes, and that's the difference between total strikes. For instance, here, like Kevin Holland Jack Della Maddalena landed 83 significant strikes. But he also landed 149 total strikes. So 149 minus 83 is the amount of non-significant strikes that were landed. So, it's just, obviously it's up to the discretion of the statistician whether a clinch strike or a ground strike is deemed significant. But at distance, it's everything that lands, any jab, any leg kick, any body shot. If it's at distance striking range and it lands, it's deemed significant. If it's in the clinch or if it's on the ground, it's up to the discretion of the statistician. Prince of Mischief is in the room saying, "How much is too much to pay for the over in the Cortez Jasdavicius over 2.5 and 1.5? So I think we're already there, right? So the last time I updated it was minus 400 on Bet Online. And DraftKings right now, the over 2.5 is listed at minus 475. You guys, that is too much to pay, because at minus 400, you're getting an 80% probability. At minus 475 is probably like 82. Let me see. 82.6, right? That's 19% more than the benchmark for the division, which is 63%. But we see all four of Tracy's fights, all four of Jasmine's fights have seen the scorecards. Tracy Cortez can really take a punch. And we saw how durable Jasmine Jasdavicius was in the Natalia Silva fight. She took an absolute beating in that fight, but she never quit on herself, and she never stopped coming forward trying to win the fight. So Cortez has really good submission defense. Cortez really doesn't have much of a submission attack herself. So I think that this fight goes to the scorecards. I parlayed it up at minus 350 when it opened. But like at this point, 82.6% at minus 475. Let's see where Bet Online has it. They've still got it at minus 400, it looks like. Yeah. Minus 400. So if you can parlay it up on Bet Online at minus 400, it's not a bad line. But it's getting a little bit ridiculous. But I think you could actually justify parlaying it at minus 400 still, because it's still plus EV. You you look at it, you're paying 16.8% more than the benchmark, but you're also getting a 20% break on the 100% over 2.5 rate over an 8-fight sample size. You're getting a 20% break over that price, and you're getting a 36.79% break when you compare that number 100% to the divisional benchmark, which is 63. So I think you can still parlay it up at minus 400. But, once it gets past that, I've never seen an over 2.5 priced at minus 475 like it is right now on DraftKings. They're just trying to get out of the way and discourage people from parlaying it because it's almost a sure thing. This might be one where the books pay one of these girls to take a dive because, like, literally there's going to be nobody on the under in this fight. So there's going to be a lot of exposure out here for the books, and you can tell that they are pricing it as such. Let's see. We got Keep It Cool is in the room. Says, I can't believe Weezy has time for a job outside of all the content that he does every week. Well, I consider my job curating the database and the stats, because putting this together every week, this prop template for my Patreon people, the advanced stats and the basic stats for my Patreon people, it's usually, about 10 to 12 hours a week just curating the stats. So, me doing this is what I am doing for a living right now. It does not pay well. Okay. It does not pay well. But with everything that I've curated up to this point, I feel like I'm going to continue to put out products that will actually make this, allow me to be able to make a legitimate living doing this. That's my hope. It might not work out, but that's a lot of things in life don't work out, but at the same time, I've put in a lot of work and I'm very, very close on this new prop template. And I can't wait to release that and really share some, what I think would be some really phenomenal analytics with the general betting community. And I think together we can make a lot of money off of Prize Picks and Underdog with these stats that I have and the benchmarks that I have access to. Daniel's saying, if I had to choose between leg-sized fingers or finger-sized legs, what would you choose? That's one of those choices that you politely say neither. Fuck off, because I'm not taking either. I'm fine with my legs the length that they are, and I'm fine with my fingers the length that they are. So they stay that way, and nobody gets to force me into two ass choices like that without getting punched in the face. So if anybody in real life, offered me those two options, I'd fucking stomp them. Rouses in the room saying, thanks, Unc. Last prop. Do you see the Padilla fight going over 7.5 minutes? It's minus 145 on the sports books. Nelson has been slowing down in his fights recently. Does it hit stylistically and through your data? So if we go to the Padilla Nelson here, and when you're looking at the over 7.5 minutes at minus 145 is where you're seeing that. I haven't even seen an over 1.5 yet on DraftKings. And I know that they don't have it on Bet Online, right? The Padilla prop is, 2.5. Okay, but at 1.5, the over, you're saying. So 59% is the price that we're paying at minus 145. That's 13.6% better than the almost 73% benchmark. Kyle Nelson's went over 1.5 rounds 5 of 7 times. So if you add up the 5 of 7 and the 0 of 1 for Padilla, you get 62.5. But I think what's really interesting is if you look at that number right down there, it's 7 of 17. So 7 divided by 17 is 41%. We're paying 59% here on the line. So 39% of their fights outside the UFC, 11 of 28 went over 1.5, but 62.5% is in the UFC here. Kyle Nelson has been finished in a lot of his losses, more than half. Get that up. Nelson finished in 3 of his 5 losses. So yeah, that is 60%, So there's definitely a chance that Padilla, a guy with an 86% finish rate in 15 wins, could absolutely get a finish here. That's 13 of 15 wins. And he looked really good at distance striking range in the last fight. I think Kyle Nelson stylistically probably tries to do what he's been doing lately, which is kind of stay safe at range, clinch up. It looks like he's scared of getting knocked out and he's fighting as such. So, yeah, I kind of think that is one that I am not anxious to look at a time prop here, because I think that if Nelson gets the fight that he wants, it probably goes over. If Padilla gets the fight that he wants, I think he probably knocks him out or submits him. Um, so yeah, dude, I don't like that prop. Over 7.5 minutes. We can also look at the division. I can just give you the benchmark here. And this is featherweight. So Prize Picks Analytics, men's featherweight. Fights going over 750 seconds. That happens 61% of the time. So 60, yeah, and that's what I think that should be what the prop template says exactly, because I think they draw their. Let me just check my work. Damn it, props. Padilla Nelson, it says over 1.5, 72.79. Oh, you know why? That's because this isn't separated out by the by 3 and 5 round fights, I don't think. Let me look. Um 750. It's 3 round fights. 61% go over that. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I don't like it, dude. I don't like that one because I could see it going either way. It depends on which fighter actually pushes the pace correctly. So yeah, I'm staying away from that one, man. -1. Yeah, I know, dude. I mean, that's what Kamaev was, dude. He was like 8,700 in DraftKings that week. It's just different now, man. People are doing way more research, and sharp bettors are moving lines really far. Mr. 25 in the room saying, "Hey, Weezy, is the Knutson money line plus main event goes the distance at even odds a safe parlay?" So I like it. When I was looking at fight goes to decision for Grasso Shevchenko, -130, I think it's a pretty good number. 50% of their combined fights have went to decision. But if you look at how the first fight took place, it took a fluke of, Valentina choosing to go for that spinning back kick and then getting her back taken to get to the area where, Grasso choked her out, right? I think this fight goes to decision. The rematch usually doesn't happen like the first fight does. So in that case, I really do think that we could see this fight go over. And I'm a huge fan of Josephine Knudsen. I think that she could potentially be top 10 in that women's strawweight division. She's very well rounded, and her striking is very technical, very clean, very high level Muay Thai striker, world champion back in 2019, bronze medal back in 2018, and an undefeated mixed martial arts record. Everybody in the room over at All Stars raves about this woman's work ethic and her skill set. So I'm really excited to see Knudsen in the UFC. I mean, I don't mind parlaying Knudsen with anything that you're doing this week, but I always say it on Stat Diggers. Brady and I always joke about it. The fact is, like, what could go wrong when you parlay a -800 women's favorite? I mean, I can name 2. Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena in the second fight. Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey, Maria Agapova versus Shanna Dobson. I mean, those are three ladies that shit the bed as 800 minus 800 or greater favorites. So, no parlay is ever safe, it seems like. But I think it cashes, Mr. 25. I'm big on Knutson, and I do like the fight goes to decision at minus 130 here. I don't think it's overpriced, and I think stylistically, I favor it going the distance. We got Prince of Mischief saying UFC should have a contender series where only finishes get contracts Wednesday. Dana is too loose handing them away. Yeah, he's handing out a lot of contracts, and that's a corporate move to bring in a bunch of lower salary fighters. You have this situation with ESPN and the contract that they have with the UFC where they have to deliver 42 events a year. So right now they're kind of motivated, and what they're trying to do is figure out ways that they can make sure that they got fight cards going on almost every single week, and that 9 out of those 12 fights are guys that you're paying peanuts to, and doesn't matter who wins. You get paid from ESPN, and your payouts to the fighters are going to be much less than what you're getting contractually from them to be able to show that. So yeah, I think it's gonna I think that the reason you see so many fighters getting contracts on the Contender Series is because, hey, it's just another fighter that they're going to pay 10 and 10. Like literally why pay Vittori, somebody like Vittori, who nobody cares about, $250,000 for a win, 125 for a loss, when you can bring in some middleweight off the Contender Series, give an exciting fight on a Saturday night in the UFC Apex in front of 50 people, and pay them less than less than 5% of what you would pay a real fighter that most people actually care about seeing. So yeah, it's wild. Keep it cool saying, if I recall from when I read the unified rules, a significant strike is one that dissuades the opponent from continuing the fight. Interesting. That's an interesting definition. I don't know what the definition and how they define it, but that's an interesting way to look at it. I feel like everything Madalena lands is significant. Yeah, I do too, man. Especially at distance, dude. That guy hits so hard. Golden Octagon saying, "Oi, thanks for everything, Weezy. By the way, Mexico in the house." He's saying, yes, Noche UFC, Saturday night, Las Vegas, Nevada. Going to be a real fun one. Nathan Robinson, Weezy, plus 103 for Rosas, round one sub. That's a small number to trust an 18-year-old getting a round one sub in the UFC. But I think it's more likely to happen than not, right? And if you're getting plus 103, and in your mind, you're saying, dude, it's more likely than not, which means it's over a 50% probability that Raul Rosas gets a first round sub, and that's how he finishes the fight, then that's what we call a plus EV bet. Because at plus 103, you're paying about 49%. And if you're saying that, the odds are 50% or greater, you got a 1% edge on the house there. So maybe you should make the bet. But, it's really just kind of like, if you look at how many people win by first round sub, you're up against a massive curve there. Very few fighters finish fights by first round sub. So yeah, this is not one that I'm going to be betting, but if you ask me, is it more than a 50% chance that Rosas subs this guy in round one? I'd say yeah, so I'm not touching it though. Like you say, an 18-year-old kid in front of a live crowd, he could go out there and have, something bad could happen. Who knows, man? But I think he subs Terrence Mitchell in the first round. I think he wants to show off that grappling skill set that he has, and do it in front of a live crowd and really get everybody behind him. So yeah, I think he gets the job done, you guys. We got my guy Fight Talk Only in the room saying, "Oi, what's up, T.O.Easy? Sup, everyone?" My guy Fight Talk Only went out of his way to hook me up with some banners that he thought I could use for my YouTube channel. He made 3 different ones in 3 different colors that have stacked cash tickets like flapjacks, Uncle Weezy MMA, UFC analytics and statistics. Dude, thank you so much for doing that. I didn't ask him to do it. He just did it out of the blue, out of the kindness of his heart, helping me out. And I truly appreciate it, man. I've already changed my banner on the Patreon. I just have to resize the image so that it'll work on YouTube as well. But thank you so much, Fight Talk only. Appreciate you doing your Uncle Weezy a favor, man. It means a lot helping me out like that, man. Prince of Mischief in the room saying, does the Patreon have this prop template? Yes, it does. It's a $20 a month option, has the prop template. It has all these analytics. And not only can you see, you know, every benchmark in every division for you know, like, so like you see that 33% of 170-pound fights go under 1.5 rounds, and the opposite 66.48 go over. So you know that for each division. You know how many times Kevin Holland is not went to decision, how many times he's went under 2.5 rounds, how many times he went under 1.5 rounds, how many times Madalena has done it. The combined, you know, so that you can literally look at every benchmark, every fighter statistic, compare those benchmarks to the fighter statistics, look at the implied probability of the line. You know, minus 165 doesn't mean a lot, but when you convert it to a price, and the price is between 0 and 1, and you're determining that price, your price is 0.6226, 62.26%. Now you start to really see, am I overpaying? Am I underpaying? Yes. Is it editable? If I want to change the odds, it is not editable. I'm the one that has to edit it. But what you can always do is go to an implied probability calculator and edit the line, because everything else you don't need to edit, right? Because this is always going to be correct here. You know, you're always going to know that's a benchmark. That only changes after the next event, and we put the last event stats in there. These don't change until the fight's over. So you can always change the implied probability of the line and then just compare that to these benchmarks, which are already here. But you can't edit it, unfortunately. But look, I've got bigger plans for this. I've got bigger plans for this prop template, because spreadsheets are cool. It allows me to be able to share the content with you guys. But something that I don't know how to do is build a website. Something that I don't know how to do is build proper graphics. With something like my guy Fight Talk Only sent me through Twitter today, blew my fucking mind, because I have no idea how to do that shit. I'm doing all the hard work curating this data, writing the code in order to extract the benchmarks from all the data that I have. That's what I'm good at. The next step is to build all of this into a lovely visual interface, which can be posted on a website, a members only website, so that these analytics and statistics can be not only shared with the public or with people who support my work, but also do it in a much better way than just looking at a fucking spreadsheet. Visually much better. And then also, you know, isolating all the necessary statistics and laying them out in a way that it makes sense to everybody, and it gives everybody the most possible edge that they could possibly have over the books that are supplying these lines. So, what's the difference between the standard? So let's see. He's asking, does the Patreon have this prop template? It is the highest level. That's the $20. Is it editable? No. If I want to change the odds, you can't. I don't think you can change the odds. Also, what's included in the advanced stats, and what's the difference between the standard version? So the advanced stats is this, where you see the color-coded stuff. The basic stats, let me open 916. See, these are the basic stats, and they don't have the divisional benchmarks in there. So it looks the same here on the advanced stats part, but then when you go to the matchup, it just has the stats. It doesn't have them compared to the divisional benchmarks, the divisional averages, so you can determine whether a fighter is going above or below the average for the division, because I curate all those divisional averages as well. So it'll let you know that Alexa Grasso is landing 5.72 distance strikes per minute, but you don't know whether that's above or below average for the division. And so that's the cool thing about these advanced stats, is that you can see that Alexa Grasso at 5.72 is landing just about the same as the divisional average, and that she throws about the same as the divisional average, while Valentina Shevchenko is much lower volume in what she lands and what she throws than the rest of the division. So you can kind of see where fighters excel compared to the rest of the benchmark for the division and where they're falling behind. So I think that color coding is super, super helpful when you're breaking down, hey, does Shevchenko have a grappling advantage here? And you can kind of just look at the colors before you look at the numbers to determine, yeah, it looks like Shevchenko's grappling numbers, you see a lot more green over here than you do over here. You see a lot of red in here, you know? So that's the difference. $5 a month gets you these basic stats. $10 a month gets you the advanced stats. $20 a month gets you the prop template and the advanced stats. So that's how we do it, man. Golden Octagon, ring a ding ding with the $10 donation. Truly appreciate you, man. Keeping the lights on here, saying keep grinding, Weezy. As a fellow content creator, shit can definitely get disappointing, but one day it's all going to pay off. The community loves you. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Like, it's been a long, slow grind for me trying to build this. But I've put in a lot of work and I've gotten a lot of support from the community. I really have. My Patreon's got like 60 people on that. And I'm really honored that many people want to support my work. And it's not just, they're not just supporting it for free. They're getting these stats, which, you know, I really honestly don't believe that there's anybody that has stat packages that are better than this. And if they do, I guarantee you they're not paying, you're not paying them $5 or $10 a month. You're probably paying them a lot more than that. So, and yeah, I think that when you add value, people notice. And like I say, the way that these lines, these betting lines and these betting props are getting juiced now that 5 Dimes is out of the market and there's no competition, we're going to have to start finding some new avenues. And that's what this new prop template's all about. So I truly appreciate you, Golden Octagon. The financial support means a lot. Yeah, I'm going to keep grinding. I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm going to keep trying to add value to the community to make us all better gamblers. Matt Norton saying, why have there been few to no comparisons to Nunez Pena's situation when it comes to Shevchenko Grasso? I don't know. I mean, like, everybody, look, that was a massively wide line. Yeah, both of them were. I mean, I think they both lost. Shevchenko might have been minus 1,200 versus Grasso. Nunez might have been minus 800, minus 900, minus 1,000 versus Pena the first time. So, yeah, I mean, like, there is a comparison there, you know, and I haven't brought up Agapova versus Shanna Dobson. You know, there's a lot of wide lines where the favorite gets knocked off, and now you're getting a massive discount on Valentina Shevchenko. She was minus 1,200 the last time around. Now you can get her for minus 160. That's really cheap. But we also got a lot of information in that fight. At distance striking range, Alexa Grasso was absolutely not out of her depth there. So it's going to be an interesting fight for sure. But I think Alexa is a lot more live this time around. And Valentina Shevchenko is 35 and a half years old. And there's a lot of tread on those tires, you guys. Her professional career, MMA, has been 20 years long. She took her first professional MMA fight right after her 15th birthday. 15. Valentina Shevchenko was fighting professionally in the sport of MMA. So there's a lot of tread on those tires, you guys. She's a phenomenal fighter, but there's only so much the body can take. So she might be slowing down. She might be getting to the end of her professional career of being able to be at the top of that mountain, because everyone's always trying to knock you off when you're at the top. And it just happened. And it could have happened the fight before with Taylor Santos, who had a really good performance against Valentina. So we're going to see, man. It's an interesting one. We got Terry Mizzo in the room saying, yo, Weezy, I'm all in on JDM Holland is a gatekeeper. Do you see this line shifting more than it already has? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of money coming in on JDM. Hype always drives the line. So before I refresh this, JDM around minus 145, minus 147 on Bet Online. Let me see after I refresh it. Minus 159 now. Yeah, dude, there's more money coming in, and I could see even more money coming in on Jack Della Maddalena. Kevin Holland does not fight particularly smart, and he makes decisions that piss a lot of bettors off. And Jack Della, while he didn't have his best performance against Hafez, 2 weight cuts in 1 week, short notice opponent, a lot of wrestling. The guy shot 20 takedowns. He wouldn't fuck off. So yeah, I see why people are on JDM. I actually picked Kevin Holland to win this fight, but I just can't get to the betting window. Even at plus 139, I feel like there's not enough meat on that bone for me to watch Kevin Holland do stupid shit and piss away another unit on an underdog bet. So I'm staying away from that one, man, but I am picking Kevin Holland to win. I didn't like what I saw from Maddalena and being able to close distance against Randy Brown. And Randy Brown has 3 less inches of reach than Holland does. So we're going to see, man. We're going to see how this one goes. Prince of Mischief saying, what's a good rule for parlays? I've been burned quite a few times, and paying juice always has me sweating. What's a good rule of thumb? If you wouldn't bet it straight, don't parlay it. That's the best advice that I can ever give anybody thinking about parlaying. If you wouldn't bet it straight, don't parlay it. Because what the trap that people fall into when they parlay is that you just start to think that when you see minus 300, that there's no chance that you're going to lose because the line's minus 300. And you can't just have your stylistic read in your head, right? Because what if the over 2.5 for Cortez Jasdavicius was priced at minus 1,000, right? Minus 1,000 is a 91% implied probability. And then you could point to the prop template and be like, yeah, but 100% of their fights, have went to decision. So we're getting a 9% break there. But you got to remember, there's only like 60%, 65% of fights in that weight class are going to decision. So you're up against a massive benchmark correction there, about 31%. And if you're not willing to lay it straight, don't parlay it. You always need to parlay 2+ EV legs, not just wide legs, because yeah, they're wide, but whenever you're laying juice, you're risking so much more money in order to win 1 unit than you would on an underdog. So the margin of error, if you're laying minus 400 and you go on a 4-bet losing streak, dude, it's gonna fucking hurt, But if you're betting, underdogs, it's gonna hurt so much less because you only have to bet 1 unit on that underdog, not 4. So I always just say, look, if you wouldn't bet it straight, don't parlay it. Real Fight Pick saying Knudsen should have a loss. Jacinta Austin got robbed in that fight. Just my opinion. Yeah, Jacinta Austin's very good. And yeah, that's the worst performance that Knudsen has on her record. But other than that fight, she's been cleanly winning literally every minute of every fight that she's been in. So the Jacinta Austin fight was the only fight on Knudsen's roster that wound up being even somewhat close. Oi, Unc, love everything you've been putting out. Terrence Mitchell, really that much of a tailor-made up matchup for Rosas. Minus 600 on a high schooler is just insane to me. Well, if you think minus 600 is insane, Brandon, how about minus 800, huh? How about minus 800, dude? Because that's where he's at now. Minus 800 on Bet Online, minus 800 on Bovada. I mean, that's what it's come to, dude. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with just saying, look, it's minus 800. I'm not, because when it becomes minus 800, all that means is that the other props are nuts too. They're all overpriced too. So, yeah, man, it is insane to me. Don't bet it. Just watch the fight. Enjoy the fight. It's going to be fun. They're setting up Raul Rosas to get a win. And really what they did was they said, hey, man, there anybody on this roster who literally has a 0% chance to beat this kid? And the matchmakers were like, yeah, we got Terrence Mitchell. He got his ass shaved by Cameron Simon. He fights out of Alaska FC. You know, you want to watch his fight tape? I got a couple of VHS tapes over here of the only camera that films Alaska Fighting Championship fights. Dude, it's low level there. It's very, very, very low level. So he's just 9 rungs up the ladder, and that's why, you know, everybody thinks that Rosas is going to destroy this guy, and he will, dude. Rosas has got good wrestling and phenomenal jiu-jitsu. Mitchell doesn't have anything that's UFC level except for the size. He does bring a lot of size and length for a bantamweight, but other than that, the skills just aren't there. Fight Talk Only saying it's for your Twitter header. Oh shit! I resized them for you accordingly for the other socials, but the one I sent you are specifically sized for your Twitter header. Dude, I didn't even know that I had a Twitter header. Oh my god, dude, I am so old. Don't get old, everybody. I'm so fucking old. I thought you said that was for my YouTube header, and I'm using it in my Patreon header already. But I'm going to put that on my Twitter header as soon as the show is over, man. I appreciate you, Fight Talk Only. Thank you for spoon feeding me my old ass some technology in order to update my shit, man. I truly appreciate it, dude. Alex Spedding in the room saying, Weezy, I could build an Airtable that you could input your charts in, which will make it editable while you are retaining your domain. Alex, if you don't follow me on Twitter, please follow me at MMA Weezy and send me a DM. I'll follow you back as soon as you follow me. And if you do, give me your Twitter header. I'd love to talk about that because there's a lot of things I'm trying to do to upgrade my product for the Patreon, but I'm a one-man operation over here, and just the workload from curating the stats and then breaking down 12 fights every week, watching tape, writing up each fights, and then doing, I mean, at least 10 hours of content every week, and then, you know, 10 hours of building fighter history, all this shit. It's just, there's only so much I can do when there are fights happening. So anybody that's willing to help me out with this kind of shit, I would truly appreciate it. So if you can DM me somehow, I would appreciate talking about that with you, man. Any help that I can get, I would love it. Prince of Mischief saying, thanks, Weezy. I love it. You got it, player. Anything that you need to know, just feel free to ask. We got Prince of Mischief saying, I wonder who will dethrone Volk. I want to be on that dog. He's already 35, I believe. Yeah, dude, you just never know. And it always seems to kind of like come out of nowhere, doesn't it? You know, especially lately, you know, with Amanda Nunes losing to Pena when the first time that they fought. And then Strickland, you know, getting that win over Adesanya. The head kick knockout of Kamaru Usman by Leon Edwards. You know, the 5th round submission by Yuri Prochaska over Glover Teixeira. I mean, we've had some crazy results, you know, in championship fights, and you just never know, man. Taking a big plus money underdog in a high level fight, you know, is probably plus EV, you know, especially we've seen how many times these huge favorites have fallen. Alex speeding that would be great. I'd love to change the odds and see the green-red color code change when the line changes. Yeah, that would be really cool, and that would make the prop template product even better. Right now, what I do is I build it in Excel. I import it into Google Sheets. So there's already some functionalities that aren't the same in Google Sheets as they are in Excel, but I think it's just so much easier to post it in Google Sheets. But in order to let other people edit the lines, I think that would make the product so much better because they have to wait for me to edit it. And I do the best job that I can, but a lot of times I'll miss something by a few hours, you know? And then by the time I put it in, maybe somebody was looking at the prop template and the lines weren't populated. So I would love to either get help on how to do a feed that would directly feed betting lines into my prop template from DraftKings, from BetOnline, from FanDuel, from a number of different sources, and then any kind of technology help to feed lines directly into the prop template and how to build it, if that would be possible in an Airtable, all that would be super cool. Yeah, any help. Rouse is saying, I can't believe that the last cell bender sold me that ticket. Bovada opened Adesanya at minus 220 versus Strickland Vert back in July, and I jumped on it big with no doubt. Little did I know. That was wild, dude. I mean, I just pictured Sean walking forward like a zombie, which he did, but being kind of like heavy on that lead leg and throwing a lot of volume and then getting countered. But he was super light on the lead leg. He checked every kick and he didn't go first. I mean, every once in a while he'd go first, but it was when he knew he wasn't going to get countered. And it was just an absolutely brilliant game plan. He didn't even have to shoot one takedown in order to dominate that dude. I was blown away. I did not see it coming. And congratulations, Sean Strickland. I'm really happy he's champion, man. I like that guy. He's a very interesting dude. Great interviews, great fights. Love his style. Everything about Sean Strickland being champion is all right with your Uncle Weezy. Mr. 25. How do I feel about JDM and Holland over 1.5? I kind of like it, dude. Stylistically, I like it. Let's look at the price, though. Over 1.5 at minus 175. Let's see if that's where they've got it here. Let's see what over 1.5. I can't believe the over 2.5 is minus 475 for Cortez Jasdavicius. So they got 2.5 here. So the alternative total rounds, let's see if it's changed. The over is still minus 175. So minus 175 over 1.5. Let's highlight that row. So 9 of 20 of their combined UFC fights have went over 1.5 rounds. But the thing is that these guys are very durable. But there's a big price difference. 63% is the price of the line. 45% is the price, or is what the benchmark is for their combined totals. 8 of 15, 1 of 5. So that's 9 of 20, 45% of their combined 20 UFC fights that have been scheduled for 3 rounds have went over 1.5 rounds. So that's a good amount of juice to lay, and your butthole is going to be puckered the entire time. But stylistically, I do lean over. I think this fight does go over 1.5 rounds, but the data just doesn't love it. Usually, when I got a 20 fight sample size here and I see 2 red numbers here that add up to about 40%, I'm hoping this number to be green by about 10 to 12%. I'm looking for the bookies to try to coax me into taking that line by, giving me a better price on this, because you could see that 55% of their fights have went under 1.5 when you're only paying 43% on that line. So I think stylistically that it hits, but I feel like it should be minus 150, minus 140 because of the data that we have here. But just my personal opinion there. Alex saying, I got you. Did you see that Twitter video of the breakdown of his counters? Parried every punch and checked every kick. I saw there was one video where it showed him checking all the kicks. I didn't see him parrying the counters, but my God, I mean, he fought perfectly. And I didn't think that there was any chance that Strickland would be able to win that fight without mixing in the wrestling. Because I felt like if he was going to win minutes, if he was going to go to decision, right? Anybody can land a big shot, and he did. He landed a big shot, almost finished him in the first, but I felt like if he was going to win a decision, if it was going to go the full 25, how was he going to beat Israel Adesanya and win minutes in a distance striking match if he didn't get a takedown or two? Because he could have gotten 1 takedown in the second round, 1 takedown in the fourth round, 2 to 3 minutes of control time from each takedown. Then he wins some minutes. then when those scorecards are right, all right, yeah, maybe if that happens, maybe he wins the decision. Him just winning like 22 out of 25 minutes in a distance striking battle against Adesanya is mind-blowing to me. I mean, what a performance by Sean. And I did not call it. I wish I did, but I didn't. You know, your Uncle Weezy was telling you, yeah, this Adesanya probably makes this look easy. So good on Sean Strickland. Yeah, Sean Strickland made it look easy. Usually after a card ends, I move on, but I can't stop thinking about his performance. That was one to remember. Is he outclassed on the feet? I think you just said exactly everything that I just said. I mean, like, unbelievable. All week I've been listening to Coach Nick Sick. That man and his team really prepared for Adesanya. Yeah, dude, you know, and that's the cool thing. If you're a coach, you know, whenever you've got some downtime, you can just start watching tape of the champions. And you'd be like, man, if I ever get somebody in my gym that's going to be a champion, I better know how I would attack that champion years in advance, that when, you know, when they do evolve and you get to see them going forward, are they shoring up these holes that you saw from them? You know, are they evolving as a fighter? And, you know, I don't think Adesanya really ever had to, because he never really fought, once he got up to the higher levels, somebody that was going to really wrestle the shit out of him. You know, like Marvin Vettori, yeah, but like Vettori's not a great wrestler. Look at his takedown percentage. The guy's very low percentage on his takedowns. So, yeah, it was mind-blowing that he was able to do that. Brandon saying, do you ever account for fights in the Apex versus having a live crowd? Hearing your corner, refs, standing up wrestlers because of fans booing, etc. Yeah, it does matter. And I think that you can look at benchmarks between the big cage and the Apex and probably find some data that would lead you to believe that certain things are more likely in the Apex than they are in the big cage in front of a live crowd. But it's not a major part of my handicapping, because I think that's more narrative stuff, and I just hate narratives driving my betting decisions. Usually when a fight is really heavy on narratives, it causes me to stay away from it. I prefer betting overs in the big cage, and I like betting unders in the small cage. In the small cage, if somebody's a pressure fighter or a grappler, I tend to like that, you know, for the small cage more than I do where somebody's got more room to move. But other than that, I don't take it very much into my capping. Alex saying, completely agree. Crazy he was saying that Izzy was like fighting an amateur. I know, dude. So crazy. Izzy is one-dimensional, it feels like. Volk would have went for a takedown, changed it up, taken another shot to land one. Yeah, dude. Like, there was no plan B for Izzy. That's what's crazy, you know, because like somebody like Volk, you know that they can always go to the wrestling if they're, you know, if it's like midway through the second round, there's 6-7 minutes into the fight, and they're like, fuck, this isn't going like I thought it was going to go. That's when you need to know. You need to make that in-fight adjustment, you know, like Stipe Miocic going to that left hook to the body against Cormier in the fourth round of their rematch. You know, if he hadn't made that adjustment, he would have lost all 5 rounds of that fight. He was getting beat there, you know. So the ability to be able to make in-fight adjustments is massive. And Israel didn't show the ability to be able to do that. And I think the reason that he didn't is because A, he doesn't have a wrestling game, so he couldn't go to that. And B, nobody's ever tested him. Nobody's ever given him problems at distance striking range. So the first time he started to really have them, there was no plan B. And that's how he lost. Yeah, 2 UFC champions, Ngannou and Strickland. Yeah, Eric Nixick, 2 champions. That is a very, very big feather in his cap. Wow, amazing stuff. Listen, 44 of you guys hanging out in here. I appreciate each and every one of you hanging out for Ask Weezy. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Hit that subscribe on your way out. Like I said, this is going to be the end of the content for me this week. I'll give out a greasy 4-leg parlay on my channel on Friday after weigh-ins when these fights get locked in. And look for an early episode of Just the Tip next week for the Fiziev Gamrot card, because I am leaving on Tuesday to go on vacation. This 17-week stretch of UFC has been absolutely crazy. I'm happy to get some time off. I'm going to where 3 of my 4 grandparents are from, the beautiful country of Greece, for almost 2 weeks. Going to take some vacation starting Tuesday of next week. So appreciate all of you guys for hanging out. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Please consider joining the Patreon to help support my work. We got Prince of Mischief saying, thanks, Weezy. Alex Spedding, favorite play. My favorite play this week would either be the Cortez money line. Cortez by decision, I think, is a really good play. My tracked bets for this week, I have 1 unit on Josh Fremd at plus 285. You can get an even better price now, but I don't understand why some people wouldn't want to be on that. Kopalov's been very hot lately. I've got 1.25 units on Tracy Cortez at minus 125, and I have a 3-leg parlay. Knutsen's money line under 1.5 rounds in the Reyes Campbell fight, and the over 2.5 rounds in the Cortez Jazz Davicius. That was plus money earlier in the week. I highly doubt it's plus money anymore. All 3 of those lines have moved big, but those are the track plays that I'm on. I'm looking at Loopy by decision because I think she's not going to wrestle. That's plus money. But I would really say Cortez money line, Cortez by decision are probably my 2 favorite plays of the week. And Prince of Mischief saying, great show as always. Alex Spedding saying, thank you. Thank you, Alex. Holler at me on Twitter. Let me know about Airtables. I don't even know what that is. All you young bucks can teach your Uncle Weezy a thing or two about technology, man. My guy Kiwi in the room saying, thanks, appreciate it. Appreciate you, brother. You guys have a great night. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for Noche UFC coming up this Saturday. I will see you on Friday on my YouTube channel. Give you a greasy 4-leg parlay. Hopefully we can make it 2 in a row of those that hit. And let's have a great night. Does it involve a puck? Does one involve a puck? Nothing with hockey for me, man. Nothing for hockey. But anyway, you guys have a great night. We'll talk to you on Friday with the greasy 4-leg parlay. Let's stack them high for Noche UFC, and I'll see you soon. Take care.